Today I'm going to forage, cook and eat something I've never had before, a cactus. And there they are. Now some cacti can apparently be toxic to eat, but this one behind me is a type of prickly pear cactus in the Opuntia genus, and it is safe to eat. At first glance, this is a cactus that can look like it doesn't really have any spines, but on closer inspection you can see it definitely does. And so you do have to be very careful in handling this cactus, as you do with most cacti. In most cases, if you do get pricked by a cactus spine, you will be fine, but there is a potentiality for allergic reactions or infections, so it's obviously best to just take precautions to make sure you don't get pricked. Prickly pear cacti are eaten in many different parts of the world, especially in places where they're native, and in many countries you can't even buy them in supermarkets. Now each individual one of these is known as a cactus pad. So that's a pad, that's a pad. As I'll be the only one trying it tonight, I've chosen a fairly small pad. Okay, I've done a bit of research on what to do next, but remember this is my first time, so it could be a complete disaster. And that's not the first time in my life I've ever said that either. So my first job is to remove the spines. So I'm just going to take a knife and just go over it a bit like that, just to take all the spines off. I'm also just going to try and remove those barbed bits as well. So we are now free of spines, and I have also used a vegetable peeler just around the edge of the cactus pad as well, as you can see. So that wasn't a knife, that was actually a vegetable peeler. And that's just to remove any spiny stuff from the rim of the cactus pad. So now I'm just going to rinse the cactus off and then just chop or dice them up however you want. Doesn't really matter as long as they're fairly small. So I'm going to pan roast them, but you can grill or simmer them. But as I'm going to pan roast them, I'm just going to add a good bit of olive oil first. Then we're going to get that to a high heat, and then I'm going to add the cactus. So let's add those into the pan. And what you'll see when they start cooking is that a lot of juice will come out of them, and the cacti will go from a greeny colour to more of an olive green colour. So all you do now is keep cooking it. You'll see all the juice come out first. So you want to keep sauteing the cacti until all the juice is pretty much gone. It is quite a sticky juice as well. You might be able to see there, it's sticking almost like a piece of string. So you can see the change of colour there, more of an olive green, and hopefully you can also see that although there is obviously some juice still there, most of it has gone, the bulk of it. So what I'm going to do now, very simply, turn the heat down to a low to medium heat at the most, and just simmer for a few more minutes. I'm going to use my cactus pad as a side vegetable, but you can of course put them into salads and scrambled eggs and that kind of thing. There we go. So let me try one so you don't have to. Yeah, quite an interesting vegetable. It's got quite a good crunch to it. That reminds me a little bit like a bell pepper. Even though I have cooked it for quite a long time there, probably too long if anything, it actually did remind me of a bell pepper type smell even when I was cutting it up raw. It has a bit of a lemony tang to it as well. Quite an interesting flavour though, quite hard to describe really. Quite pleasant though. The only other thing I'm going to add to this video is to say that remember to always be 100% sure of your identification, even when it comes to cacti, because not all cacti are edible. You do have to be sure when you're doing that you've got an edible cacti, and the prickly pear cactus is probably one of the ones that grows quite frequently in the wild in these kind of countries. It's probably quite easy to identify as well, but as always, be careful in your identification. And the golden rule of foraging still stands: never eat anything unless you are 100% sure of what it is, or if you're not 100% sure of the exact species, you do need to be 100% sure that what it is safe to eat.